Good morning. Morning. So I'm going to give you guys a little time to do this. If you just want to open up your Bibles, and then we're going to stand for the reading of the Word. And the verse is John 11, 1 through 16. Then once you have it, if you want to stand for the reading of the Word. All right, John 11, 1 through 16. So bear with me. This is just a little bit of reading. This is the scriptures talking about Lazarus, and this is a pretty common Bible story, but I feel like there's a newer word or something that we need to dive deeper into this morning. Now a man was sick, Lazarus from Bethany, a village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with the fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair. And by the way, I just forgot, this isn't exactly what I'm reading from here because it didn't have that version, so this is pretty close. So just FYI. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, and it was her brother Lazarus who was sick. So the sisters sent a message to him, "Lord, the one you love is sick." When Jesus heard it, he said, "This sickness will not end in death, but is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus. So when he heard he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. Then after that, he said to his disciples, "Let's go to Judah again." Rabbi, the disciples told him, "Just now the Jews tried to stone you, and you're going to go there again?" Jesus replied, "Aren't there 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks during the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of his world. If anyone walks during the night, he does stumble because the light is not in him." He said this, and then he told them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm on my way to go wake him up." The disciples said to him, "Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will get well." Jesus, however, speaking about his death, but they thought he was speaking about natural sleep. Jesus told them plainly, "Lazarus has died. Lazarus is dead. And I'm glad. I'm glad that I wasn't there so that you may believe. Let's go get him." This is going to be a story, and a story that we've all commonly heard. It's very, very well known, but there's definitely a fresher word in this story that I'm excited to share with y'all that God shared with me this week. So if you want to bow your heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here this morning. Thank you for this word that you have given to us. And God, I pray that it reaches somebody in a way that they were desperately in need of. And God, that I pray that all hindrances will be taken away, and that my nerves are calmed, and I'll be able to deliver your word in the way that you wanted me to. And God, we just thank you for the amazing impact you're going to have in our lives after today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Sorry. Allergies getting anyone else, or is it just me? Man. So, I've never personally been in a fight for a couple reasons. One, I'm really skinny. I don't have any weight on anybody. I'm lanky. That's about it. 2, I would more than likely try and talk my way out of a fight before I actually got in one. I'm going to be like, can we keep this verbal, not physical? Because I do know my capabilities, because there's only one person that I know that can beat me up anytime she wants, and that's my mom. And trust me, she's done it time after time after time. Almost broke my ankle once. Yeah, can't mess with mama. But if I was ever in a fight with somebody, I would definitely try and talk my way out of it, because I'm going to try and make it look like the words that I'm saying carry more than just empty space. I want them to mean something. Like, I'm going to try and prove to the guy that I can fight really well before he realizes he can beat me up. I'm trying to let my words carry some weight. And Jesus says some things in this story that carry more weight than what we see, and that's why the title of the sermon is More Than Words. More Than Words. This is a title that's been popping up to me. I'll see it in between ads of YouTube videos, because I'm a big YouTube person. I don't like TV that much anymore. I'll just watch YouTube videos because I feel like it's just how things are now. And in between ads, it's a conference for something I've never even heard of. And it kept popping up and up and up. And I even saw it on TV at one point. I'm like, this is insane. And then once I was told I was preaching, I was like, I got the title. I mean, there's no way this isn't meant for something more than just words. So in the story, Lazarus is sick. And he was the one that Jesus loved, and he was sick. So Mary and Martha went to go get Jesus, because they've seen the stuff that he's done before, and they knew very well that he could easily heal Lazarus. And they were very comfortable with going to get him. Well, Jesus and his 12 disciples just left a very dangerous place where they were being threatened to be stoned. They were 2 miles east of Jerusalem in a small village, town, city, what have you, Bethany. And they were far enough away from danger, but they were still close enough where they didn't necessarily draw attention. And they were stuck with a trial. They were in a tough situation, Mary and Martha were. Their brother Lazarus was very, very sick, on the verge of death, and they sent out to Jesus. They sent out, like, we have a problem, we have a situation. But any trial a believer faces ultimately brings glory to God. Because God can bring any good out of any bad situation. When trouble comes, do not grumble, complain, or blame God. But do you not see your problems more as opportunities for God to get some glory out of it? Every situation that you come to, God's already seen before it's happened. So why not we have faith to know that he also has an answer for it? God will come in a moment of quiet. And something I always heard is when we're going through like trials and we're going through tests and we're praying out to God and we're like, God, we need help, and we're not hearing anything. I never understood that until somebody told me, said, well, when you're in school and you're taking a test, the teacher's always silent. It's a test. You've learned the information before, and now it's time to put it into action. This is a test. God will not always come as a roaring lion, but his words that he sends beforehand carry more than what we just hear. And Jesus loved his family, as he loves everybody, but I imagine he especially loved his family. And he often stayed with them, and he knew that the pain that they were going through, but did not respond immediately. He delayed his coming for a specific purpose, and that's his perfect timing. Everything that God does and the way he does it is perfect. He never does anything on accident. He's never once slipped up like, oh, my bad. He's Jesus. He's perfect, and so is his timing. It always will be. And especially in his delays, we think that sometimes he's just not answering us or blatantly ignoring us. But the teacher's always quiet during the test. But he will meet all of our needs according to his purpose, according to his perfect schedule. And we should patiently await his timing. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but patience is the most annoying word in the English dictionary. There's not a more annoying word than patience, because I am the most impatient person ever. Like the other day, a little while ago, I was playing frisbee golf or disc golf or whatever you call flinging a 9-iron into the woods, because I got really impatient. I'm a very impatient golfer just because, I've played for a while, but like I set myself to an expectation that I guess I can't reach because I don't play that much. I can't expect myself to be good, and I'm impatient. I'm like, I want to be good now. Like, I've put in the time. Shouldn't I be good? But I haven't put in enough time for me to be good. And I'm just very impatient through the whole process. And that's how Mary and Martha were. They didn't have a lot of time, and they were very impatient. They were like, Lazarus, he's dying, he's sick. We have to go get help. And so they hurried to Jesus because they were comfortable with Jesus. They've seen him perform miracles before. This isn't new to them. They know he was capable. So when Mary and Martha came to Jesus, they were fully expecting him to come in a hurry. They were fully expecting him to go, Jesus, man, Lazarus, he's sick. We got to go. We got to go. This is urgent. And Jesus, I couldn't imagine sounded, he couldn't sound rushed. I can imagine him just sitting there. He's like, oh no, that's awful. But the sickness is not unto death. And God's gonna get some glory out of this. He's definitely gonna get some glory out of this situation. But if you're a parent, or if you love anyone in your family, throw your hand up. That should be everyone in the room. For those people not raising your hands, wow. That's going to be an awkward family reunion. But if you love anyone in your family and you heard that they were sick or in trouble, I would very imagine that you would try and get to that person however you could and as quickly as you could. And I wrote this days and days ago. And I knew if I didn't get this done before this weekend, I would be distracted and never get it done. And I had no idea that the things I were writing would pop up in my own very life before they even happened. A couple days ago, I had something very, very traumatic happen to me, something I was extremely unprepared for, and something I just never saw coming, and I felt so helpless that someone that I know and loved was hurting, and there's nothing I could do about it. I was in a position where he was thousands of miles away, and there was nothing I could do. I was helpless, and all I could do was pray, and all I could do was just say the words that I thought had answers to them, just as Jesus told Mary and Martha, where he gave them an answer, but it may not have been an answer they were ready to hear or an answer that they wanted. And so often we have prayers and we're so desperately in need of an answer, and we get something, but it's not what we wanted, and we complain, and we're like, that's not the answer that I wanted. Jesus is not a genie in a bottle. You can't just rub and he's like, poof, 3 wishes, what do you want? He's going to give you an answer. He's never failed anybody. He's not going to start with you. He'll give you an answer, but it may not be an answer you're looking for. And you can look at it and go, God, what is this? This is not what I wanted. And he's like, I know what you wanted, but it's not what you needed. I know what you need. Let me worry about this. So he gave Mary and Martha that answer that the sickness does not end in death, but God's going to get some glory out of the situation. So he stayed 2 more days where he was. 2 whole days. And you would think that he would go a little sooner than that, especially if it was someone that he loved. But wouldn't you think that, okay, let's give Jesus the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that he was busy. Let's say he had to preach that next Sunday, and he had a potluck to go to after that. Maybe he was busy. But wouldn't you at least expect him to send one of his disciples? It's like, hey, Lazarus is sick. Why don't you go handle that? We'll be here. He would have sent somebody. I would imagine he would either send one of his disciples or a doctor or a well-known doctor or something. He would have sent something, surely. Because, that's how God is. He's gonna send answers. He's going to provide. He's going to give us everything according to his specific purpose. He's going to help us. But instead, he stayed there 2 more days. And I never understood that. I was like, I don't know why he didn't send something or someone. But I was blinded until I started studying what the story actually said, and I realized that he did send something. He did send something. And this isn't the first time he's done it. And the disciples, after he told the disciples, like, let's go back to Judah, let's go get Lazarus, let's go wake him up. His disciples were like, why? We just left danger. Like, we just left a dangerous place. You know, like, they threatened to stone you. Why would you want to go back? Verse 8, the disciples told him, just now the Jews tried to stone you, and you're wanting to go there again? If you're in immediate danger, that's like leaving and deciding to go back. Like, why would you do that? And the disciples were almost like, is Lazarus' life more important than all 13 of us? That's 12 disciples in Jesus. All 13 of us? Is it worth all of that? And clearly it was, because Jesus said, we're going to go back and we're going to get him. And so I was like, all right, well, let's go, because they couldn't stop Jesus. And in verse 9, Jesus kind of gave them that answer. They were like, why are we going to go back? And I couldn't imagine this is what the disciples were looking for, but this is the answer that Jesus gave them. Jesus replied, are there not 12 hours in the day? During the day, you can walk in safety. And you can see where you're walking because, you know, the light of the world is in you. It's in your heart. But if you walk at night, you'll stumble because you can't see the things ahead of you because you're not in light. You're not in your own light. And I'm very influenced by music. I've always been very influenced by music. And especially like Lecrae, Animania, stuff like that. For some reason, it started out as just something that sounded good, but this is something that I live by now. Like, it's stuff that motivates me. And in one song, the lyric goes, if you can't see my light, then maybe I'm not in it. And that's kind of what Jesus is telling his disciples. He says, well, if you're walking in the day, you're not going to stumble because you have your own light. And the light's in you, and it's going to guide your path. But if you're walking in darkness, you're going to stumble because you can't see where you're going. Because if you're not in light, you're not going to be able to see. And if people can't see my light inside me, then, you know, maybe I'm not in it at all. People should be able to see the love of God on us from across the room. You don't have to know the person personally to know that, oh, they're a Christian, they love Jesus. They should be able to see that before you even know the person. You can say people across the room that clearly love Jesus without even knowing them. And we do that as, like, everyone's been new to a church once, and we've all seen that person. Just the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I'm so excited to be here, even though I'm doing the parking lot. I'm kidding, shout out to the parking lot team. But they're so on fire, they're just so in love with Jesus, and we see that. And that's kind of what Jesus is saying is like, we should be able to see it. You shouldn't stumble because of your own light. But that was the answer that they got, and if that was me, I'd be like, okay, that's fantastic. Thank you for that little thing of wisdom, but why are we going to go get Lazarus? But Jesus' words carry more than that, because clearly there was a lesson in there for the disciples that they haven't yet learned, and everything is working out to his purpose. But they were going to go get Lazarus, and Jesus told the disciples that Lazarus was asleep. He said, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but now I will go wake him up. And if you've ever been sick, raise your hand if you've been sick. There you go. Yeah, everyone's been sick. And if you've ever been sick, and your mom has given you all the medicine in the world, taken you to the doctor. She is still going to have the exact same piece of advice that I'm sure all of us have heard. Rest up, get a lot of sleep. So apparently the disciples' moms told them that too. Because when Jesus said, Lazarus, he's not dead. Like, guys, don't worry. He's not even dead. He's sleeping. He's asleep. And the disciples like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, man. Whew, thought he was dead. All right, man, he's just sleeping. Guys, ain't no need to worry. He's just sleeping. And Jesus was like, you know what? No. Jesus told his disciples immediately after, Lazarus is dead. Just dream crush. Just like he was just asleep. Now he's dead. And Jesus is like, yeah, and he's dead, and I'm glad. Whoa. First time I read that, I was like, you're glad? Like, why are you glad Lazarus is dead? He said, I'm glad I wasn't there. For now, you will really believe. So come and let's go. And I'm going to show you why I'm glad I wasn't there. Is because I'm about to show you guys something that only I can do. I'm about to show you the power of resurrection. And this isn't the first time this has happened. In Mark 5, 21 through 43, you don't have to open up to it. And 21 to 43 is a story of when Jesus raised a little girl from the dead. Now, if you don't know the story, the little girl was dying and she was sick. And her dad came to Jesus. And came to Jesus in a hurry, and he was worried. He's like, hey, look, my daughter's dead, or my daughter's dying. She's sick. I need help. We got to go. Please help me. And Jesus is like, all right, let's go. And we're gonna go heal your daughter. And I would imagine that they would at least be at a light jog, in somewhat of a hurry. But they walked, and they walked to her, or walking to her, and when people started surrounding Jesus, he had one goal in mind, and that was to go heal that little girl, until a woman who was bleeding eternally for years and years and years and used up all of her money to every doctor that she could find to heal her, and the doctors came up empty. And she's like, I have nothing else to do. I have nothing else to turn to. I'm out of all of my money. And I still have to be healed. And who knows, no matter what the doctor says, whatever doctor report it is Jesus already has the answer. So any doctor's report that you get, regardless of what that doctor says, Jesus has already figured out in advance. And Jesus knew that before the woman did, and the woman was like, I got to go touch him. Like, I've got to just graze his shirt, touch his ankle, something. I've got to get close to Jesus. So I'm sure she fought through hundreds of people, just pushing them, pulling them out of the way. Like, I got to get to Jesus. And the way I see it in my head is Jesus is walking, and he's almost out of reach. And in a last-ditch effort, she just dives out with everything she has left and just barely grazes his shirt. And then immediately Jesus popped up and said, who touched me? And his disciples were like, there's hundreds of people here, Jesus. I'm sure 98% of them touched you at some point. And Jesus was like, no, this is different. This was a needed touch. This is different because I felt power leave me. And that woman was healed instantly. And Jesus turned to her and said, well, your faith has made you well. And she went on, but I can imagine the dad of the little girl. I can imagine maybe his frustration that, like, good, I'm glad that this woman was saved, but she wasn't your main priority. She was just someone that we just happened to see along the way. You should be more focused on my daughter. I can imagine his frustration, even though it was Jesus, because that's his own daughter. That's his flesh and blood. And she was sick and she was dying. Well, immediately after, Jesus went to her and walked in the room, and there were people mourning over her, and I'm sure they were like, it's no use, just forget about it, you're too late, she's already dead. And Jesus knew that was a lie. Jesus knew that was a lie straight from the devil, that this girl was not dead, but merely sleeping. And the mourners, from crying and weeping to immediate laughter and mocking of Jesus, saying, she's dead. I don't know what this guy's talking about. She's clearly dead. And Jesus said, no, she's sleeping, and woke her up. So this would be the second time that Jesus said that someone was sleeping. Like, no, they're not dead, they're just sleeping. This would be the second time this has happened. And he uses sleep as an image of something being temporary. Forever, when you fall asleep, you will wake up eventually. It's bound to happen. You will wake up. And Jesus was saying that about Lazarus and about the girl, that this is not death and forever. This is temporary sleep. And that's all this life is. This life is temporary. Because everything will pass away. Everything. And we're going to wake up and we're going to be in heaven. And that's the rest of our lives. This is sleep. This is temporary. We're going to wake up. We're going to be in heaven. We're going to spend eternity with Jesus in the most amazing place never seen by any human. And we all get to experience that for the first time as believers. But Jesus did not want to be there when Lazarus died. Because, like you say, he told his disciples that, no, he's not dead, he's sleeping. And when the disciples believed what he said, he turned to him and said, never mind, no, he's dead, gone, he's gone. And they didn't understand it. They were like, well, why would you say that? And Jesus said, you know what, I'm glad he's dead, because you're about to see something amazing. You're about to see something unbelievable, something breathtaking, something you've never seen before, because I'm the only person that has the power to do it. So he goes to the tomb. And when he gets there, Lazarus has already been in the tomb for 4 days at that point. Now, I'm sure that they didn't have good refrigeration, They didn't put him on an ice block just to preserve his body so they can all have a viewing later on. I'm pretty positive that he was tossed in a cave 4 days. He probably ain't smelling too good. He's probably starting to decay and all that gross stuff. And clearly everyone's looking at it like, yeah, this guy's dead. He's gone. He's been gone for a while. I don't know what Jesus is doing all the way out here wasting his time, because he's been dead for a while. And that's what Martha was saying. She ran up to Jesus and was like, God, I don't understand. I don't get it. If you would have been here when I came to get you, he could very well be with us, having this conversation with us. He could very well be alive today if you would have just came with us. If you would have just sent something, anything, he could be alive today. And I agree with Martha. I agree with her. Because I could imagine being in a position where I really needed somebody to come, and I'm like, look, we gotta go. And he's like, I'll see you in Tuesday. I'll see you in 2 days. Like, no, I need you now. I don't need you in 2 days. I need you now. I understand where she could come from, but I also didn't see that Jesus sent something. He already sent something, and she was blinded to it because he sent his word. He sent his word way before Lazarus even got there. Because when they were in the time of need, God already delivered a promise to Martha and said, this sickness is not unto death, but God's going to get some glory out of this. That was a promise. So they were more than just comforting words. This was more than just empty words. This was a promise. This was the future. This was foreshadowing what was already going to happen. He knew what he was going to do, and God was going to get some glory out of the situation. These are more than just words. Like Jesus said in verse 4, that God's going to get some glory out of the situation, that his words are going to speak life, they're going to speak promise, they're going to speak love. And they still do today. This is something that we all need to take to heart, because God gives us so much more than his words. He gives us so much more than his promises. Because the things that we hear from him are fact. They're going to come to pass. Everything comes to pass. And he's never going to give you an answer and not deliver on it, because God has never failed anybody before. And he's not going to start now, and he's not going to start with you. God is a very, very loving God. He's very caring, and everything that he does and the way he does it is perfect. His timing is perfect. He's never messed up. He's never slipped up. There's never been an oops moment, I didn't mean to do that then. God's like, no, I got this figured out, guys. It's fine. I waited 2 days, so I know that Lazarus, to you, was good and gone. Because I wanted you to see with your own eyes that Lazarus, he's passed, he's dead. But I also wanted you to see with your own eyes that I am the resurrection. I am the one that can raise people from the dead. He promises that he can heal any broken situation, because no matter the situation or the outcome, God's going to get some glory out of this. Because in John 11, verse 25, Jesus said this to Martha. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me, even if he dies, will live. Everyone who lives and believes in me will never die, ever. Do you believe this? Do you believe it? Lazarus was never dead. I'm sure if Lazarus could speak, he would have full confidence that God could heal him, but for a temporary moment, he was asleep. Just so that he could prove that Lazarus believed in me, so therefore he lives. He was no more dead. He was asleep, and I was there to wake him up. So I just hope that you take this word to heart, that whoever believes in God, in any dream or any moment in your life that you think is dead and gone and passed away and is not going to come back, Jesus said, whoever believes in me will live on and will continue to live on. And that's a promise, because I've already sent my word before you. These things are already going to happen. They're already promised. So we need to walk out of this building with a confidence that no matter the situation, no matter the outcome, God has already had a perfect plan for it, and it's already in motion. Even though we don't see it, It's there. Because the opposite of faith is what? Sight. The opposite of faith is sight. So have faith. Even though you can't see it, it's in the works. And it always has been. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to pray it out. But dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come here today. And God, we're so thankful for this opportunity just to wake up and come be in your word. Because we take it for granted that we get another day, but not everyone's promised another day. So God, let us take this day and use it so God, that you get some glory out of the situation. And God, we know that your promises are always going to be there. It says in your word that the grass withers and the flowers fade, but God, your word will last forever. It's eternal. It'll never go away. It'll never fade away. And God, we take confidence in that. We thank you for the amazing things that you're going to do in our lives, in the lives of other people, in this community, and in this church, so that we may reach hurting people. God, we thank you for that right now.
It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour